Yes, I'm still in the park. Hope y'all doing well out there. I got a little breeze going, so it's okay. It's not too bad out here today. I was just laughing at myself on my last video, thinking about the ways in which I've had to be humbled so I can stay humble. Like when I was dealing with a lot of this stuff that was humbling my spirit, it was not fun or funny. But now I think it's hilarious. A lot of it, anyway. A lot of it is hilarious when you really think about it. But also, operating out of joy, choosing to operate out of joy, choosing happiness, and seeing it from an outside perspective, like as if I was watching it on TV or as a movie, and entertaining myself with myself. I can laugh at me. Shit. Because if I didn't, one of the things that made me laugh was the thought I had. It's like, if I was not checked every now and again, probably be a supervillain. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, easily be a supervillain. It's like, no, no. I need them checks and balances. I really do. Well, I did need them. I don't think I'm in need of the tool belt of checks and balances as I used to be. But I need sometimes child a mess. I entertain myself, but it doesn't mean. And I used to cringe, but now I'm just like, girl, you was just doing the best you could with what you were given. You're all right. You still kill them. But yeah, there are definite times where I was like, I am such a badass. Nothing can mess with me. Nothing can stop me. I can do whatever I want. Now, those are not horrible thoughts, but they can be used and operated out of in a way that is not pleasant. And I have. And I see her and I'm like, girl, look at you. You ain't really know nothing. Now you know some things. Look at you. You figured it out. Proud of you. But anyway, that's not what I came to talk because I'm doing two today. Hopefully, I don't take too many days off on Sundays, but I'm doing two today because I missed a day. And watch at your leisure always. You don't just because I do two in one day, I don't mean you obligated to watch two in one day. You don't have to do all that. Okay. I think the challenging thing for me now, and I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, is learning to socialize and operate in my new vibration. Because critically speaking, my old self died in 2019, 2020. I was in clinical practice as a therapist. I still had a baby, a kid at home. I was still married. I was still thinking that I was gonna like create the dynamic, and it's not like I didn't in some way participate in this aspect of making sure that people still got access to critical mental health services and care. I still contributed somewhat. But I thought I was just going to be at the helm of all of that, right? That was what all that work I thought was leading up to. That's why I still laugh and I use it frequently. We make plans and God laughs. Whoever God is to you, universe, whatever. We're not being biased in this space. But since I was a little girl, believe it or not, when you ask little kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always know I wanted to be in a helping profession. I thought maybe a medical doctor or psychologist, something like that. And the older I got, the more leaned towards psychology. And then it was like, I had a baby, got married. Like, that's never going to happen for me. So I need to go to a career that's easier to obtain, that's still respectable, that can pay the bills. So I went into nursing. Got all the way to the transition for LPN, RN, and couldn't. I was heartbroken. I spent many years starting out with phlebotomy, working my way up to technology, working my way up through assisting, working my way through college to get to LPN transition, and only to be told, oh, yeah, you know what? You have this immune system that is not going to serve you well in that career. Because I kept getting sick. I'm like, I don't like that. I'm gonna do something else about it. And I tried. I tried for 2 years. Even after that, to still make that work for me. And we made plans and God laughed. So I'm like, no, yeah, okay. So what do I do now? But I went back to what I said when I was younger. I want to be a psychologist. I enjoy studying the mind. I uh, enjoy helping people with my words. I didn't want to be an analytical psychologist, or someone who theorizes necessarily, even though I'm a student of Jung. Like Carl Jung, I've been reading for years before I even started that path to psychology. And even though his theories I find to be beautiful and crucial to humanity, especially if we're going to talk about uh, abstract thoughts and moralities and how we place those and how we choose those. I think he's a perfect guy to study and look at, because he has an inner knowing without having to push that and force that inner knowing upon someone else. I find that lovely. But clinical, in a clinical setting in which I am actually in real time helping a person go from point A to point B, that's the sauce for me, and it's been for a long time. So when I was a kid, I always wanted to be that, right? Get through the psych program, breeze through it, because found that I loved it. Even though I had the setback with my career, I still loved it. And I get my psych degree, and go on to get a clinical degree, and I'll tell you, my whole life got upended by some foolishness. I contribute to most of myself. But it just seemed like it was supposed. Back then, I was like, why is this woe with me? Why is this happening to me? And I know it's cliche. Don't get mad at me when I say this here. Because see, I used to get mad at my elders, and folk who would tell me, maybe it happened for you. Because I've previously stated, if somebody tells me what to do, I'm not always great with that. But I'm cool with following if the leader is sound. And in the circumstances I was in, I didn't feel that way, that the leader was sound. And so me listening, oh yeah, I follow rules. I believe in rules and structure. I think that is absolute to the chaos that is our minds and our emotions. We need to have something to follow sometime when we ain't right up here or in here. And so the rules that everybody follow keeps us in line and keeps us from having abject chaos every damn well all the time. Because I don't want, like, some people wanted the purge, and some people wanted, anarchy and the system to be completely destroyed all at once. I'm like, can we do it in pieces so I can still have a clean toilet to use and AC? Because the way y'all set up, y'all don't realize how hard that would be. So no, we're not doing that. We're going to do tiny little pieces at a time until it's all changed, and nobody will even really notice sometimes the changes that are being made. Cut it out. Cut it out. Doesn't mean that I am in control of all things, because obviously I'm only in control of things that I have access to. And even sometimes not even then. So I stay prepared just in case something gets out of hand. And I advise you to do the same. But yeah, once I got to that space, and I'm like, wait, so I'm sick again. At that point, I was sick again. And at least I thought I was, according to my scans. And then came back some months later clean, and I was just very, very happy about that. Because going through it in my 20s, having to have my tumors removed and getting scars on my body at that age, you're still very egoic about what you look like in your 20s. And I had already had children, so I was already in my feelings about how I looked. So to have to go through that and lose my hair and have scars put on my chest and all this stuff was a lot. And I just really didn't want to go through that again. And I was going through a particularly devastating breakup on top of experiencing loss in other ways. It was a lot. And then I had to give up the career that I worked all these years for again. And like, but how do I live? And so I started working on myself and worried less about how I was living. I was getting by day to day, and still sometimes do. I'm not wealthy by anybody's stretch of imagination. Yet. I'll be there soon. But it was very hard and challenging. Like, well, it's the trauma for me, child. Really, it's the trauma. At that time, I was so angry and filled with hurt and pain. All I can do is think about every year of my life that I have memory of, which goes back. I'm one of those people that can go back to toddlerhood and still have memories. There's not a year that didn't have trauma in it. There's some people I've seen in clinical practice as well as spiritual, and they'll tell me about a specific trauma or two, and I'm like, in that moment, I feel devastated for them having to experience that and give them the love and empathy that they maybe did or did not receive at that time, and we continue on to see what their needs are, right? But sometimes when I'm done with something like that, I'm thinking to myself, they just had the two. They're gonna be all right. And sometimes I'm not okay. Like, it's sometimes back then anyway. Now I am, but back then, sometimes I would think, I didn't get a break. Not 1 year, I didn't get a break. When I wasn't dealing with abuse emotionally, I was dealing with abuse physically, or both. So I wasn't dealing with that because I was like, I can't deal with it no more. I was homeless, but I was a kid, sleeping from house to house, and still having to go to school. Somehow managing still to make good grades, but I don't even know how I managed that. I was in the streets, God. I was in the streets. I was a street kid. At least the way I look back on it, like, I don't know how I survived a lot of the stuff I was wrapped up in or surrounded by, but I did somehow by the grace. But there's not a year, even up until that point when I had to give up my clinical practice and my license and all that stuff. I didn't have to give up my license. I didn't. I just made the choice because I got tired of fighting a very, very broken system. Even though I still believe in it. I know it's weird. I still believe in it so much so that I still educate people about mental health when they come to me and help them find a provider that works for whatever their symptoms or ailments are potentially, and teach them how to find someone who's competent for their needs. Because again, some people are uncomfortable speaking with males or females, or someone who is in the clergy versus not in the clergy. And they don't always know, even with our internet system, they don't always know how to find a person that is competent within their own needs. And helping someone do that does give me some pleasure in the sense that it's like I'm still doing that work. I just am not directly involved. And then there are times where they'll come to me on a Sunday or another day, and we're wax spiritual like if they want to. But also I can still speak to them from a vibration of secularism when we're talking about, okay, how do you meditate? Do you know how? Let's see if we can practice that together. And I practice it with them. Almost everybody gets that practice. You got to learn how to meditate if we're going to do this workshop. All right, y'all being a little rude, but it's okay. We got to learn how to meditate and then pray. Even the people who are secular, teach them to pray. Even if it's to their higher self. Teach them about that. Again, I don't force any beliefs that I hold on anybody. Most people don't know much of what I believe because it was a personal experience. Belief structure comes from personal experiences, and everybody has different ones. So why would I push what I've experienced upon someone else that hadn't experienced it? I can say I'm a divine being, but nobody else gotta believe that. Only I can believe that because of my own experiences, and who knows, right? What one person believes can be considered mental illness, and another person can believe something else that can be perceived as perfectly sound judgment. But if you look at it objectively, sometimes the perfectly sound judgment seems a little bit obtuse. But we have to be objective. But when we force our beliefs on other people, there's no room for objectivity. And I think that's paramount to us evolving at this time, is to have objectivity and also to be clear when we're giving a subjective opinion. That's why I always let y'all know. Because the point is for you to think for yourself. And come out on the other side with some inner knowledge and inner being that maybe is a little different than before you came in and sat down and talked to somebody who might know a little thing or two about a thing or two. Somebody say, don't do this and do this. Honey, that don't work for me. I don't know about you, but that don't work for me. You got to tell me why. Tell me exactly why. And if you're telling me to not like somebody, distrust them or hate them in some way, it's not going to work for me regardless. Let me learn. Let me see that person. Let me understand that person. I do respect someone warning me about someone if the warning is warranted. Because a lot of times when somebody warns you about somebody, there's a lot of bias in that because of their own beliefs, because of the experiences they had with them. And that person might be totally different with you. So you got to give it an opportunity and a chance. But if you stay in alignment with some rules and structures within yourself, you ain't got to worry about it, no matter who they are. So in this space of dating, I can apply this. So there are times where I'll sit down with my friends and they'll say, you're so strict and by the book to your rules, and they know a lot of rules. I don't know if you've ever watched NCIS, Gibbs Rules. So it's like I took the chapter out of that book of Gibbs Rules. He doesn't go outside those rules unless absolutely necessary. Like there's no other choice. And so I have my own rules for how I govern myself, how I conduct myself, and definitely for dating. And it's like, I don't double text. Unless what I have to say requires 2 text messages. I don't like sending long paragraphs if I can manage it. But to me, that's one whole text. But if you don't respond to what I have to say, I'm not going to take a shit again in life. Not because I hate you, because I respect myself. Like, and if you do things that makes me feel uncomfortable because that's in your personality to do, I'm going to tell you how it made me feel. No, not made me feel. This is how I felt in those actions. And you have the choice to change or not change that. And if you don't change it, then you cut. Like, you cut people so fast. Absolutely. I have no time to dilly. I barely have time to sleep. I don't have time to dilly-dally with somebody who makes me feel uncomfortable for some reason. For what? What am I doing that for? I see no reason to do that. So I don't. And another caveat is like if I feel like in some way I'm being disrespected overtly or covertly, again, you cut. But when I cut someone as opposed to before when I was still in my villain, I don't have to cuss you out or call you out your name or nothing like that. I don't have to be mean to you. I can just make you my friend. We can be friends. It's okay to be friends with someone you previously may have had romantic leanings towards, or them you. It's okay to be friends. It's okay not to end things crashing and burning and telling, and I'm mostly talking to my past self or anybody who could help and assist. Don't sit down for things that you know that don't feel right to you, maybe. Consider not doing that. Or learn a lesson. Either way, you're going to get the message. You will either get the message the first time, second time, or third time. You know how they say, the same lesson going to come in different bodies until you learn it. And I am not about that life. I keep learning the same lessons over and over again. So for me, sticking to my rules or governing myself by a set of rules that I choose for myself works for me. I recommend it highly because I find that I'm blindsided less when I'm being responsible for myself. Like if you don't want to get your feelings hurt, then don't go too deep, too fast. Take your time. Taking your time will teach you someone. When you rush into it, when you rush fast, you miss some of the blind spots and the red flags that they call them. Take your time. Take your time. But I know, sometimes in life, loneliness creeps in and you do silly shit. I am not immune from doing silly stuff in those moments. But I do try not to. I'm sticking to those rules. And I think the biggest lesson, from understanding that we can self-govern within ourselves and then as a collective come together and decide what we all can agree on as opposed to what we don't. One of the reasons why I'm an omnist, it's like, okay, so can we just sit down and just have a real simple and basic logical understanding that we all kind of want the same thing? We want to live in peace. We want to have harmony in some way. We want love, and acceptance. We all want that, right? So let's start from the basic and say, okay, we don't need all the rest of that stuff just yet. Can we just start with the golden rule and then work our way out? And we all can agree or disagree. Majority agrees that this next rule is for all of us. Like, I had to learn the hard way. It doesn't matter what someone my dynamic is. If somebody else is in a relationship, I don't give a shit what you got going on. If you tell me somebody else is there, don't even breathe on me hard. Go away. And I feel sorry for that person that you over here even looking at me like that. No, don't tell me. That's one. And that's in most of the books. Two, if you don't want it done to you, don't do it to somebody else. Don't. Like, if you don't want it done to you, seriously, don't do it to somebody else. If you find that you feel envious about something, three, if you find you feel envious about something, there's something within you that is feeling lack and it has nothing to do with the other person. There is not an opportunity or a gateway to you starting being mean and treating that person hatefully. Go get it. That song, Amen, by Meek Mill. It's like, I pray for something, then I go out there and get it for myself. Period. The moment you feel envy, know that that's greed in some way. Both of those things are cousins or Siamese twins. I recommend prayer or meditation and figure out what's in you that's missing that caused you to feel envy towards that person. And if you can't obtain it because the envy is coming from the fact that you think someone is more appealing to look at than you are, what that got to do with them? That got everything to do with you. You don't love yourself. You not loving yourself made you envious of somebody else. That's weird. That's a weird thing you're doing. Stop. And or money or cars or homes. If you can't obtain that for yourself, then be joyful in what you do have. That's for, like, be grateful even in the tough moments. Live out of joy. Operate out of joy. Operating out of joy will help you see even the hard shifts as a blessing. Because I would recommend how to do that. One of the first steps is remember all the ones you had before and realize you survived them, and then reflect on who you became after. Not everybody didn't have a good outcome after some, trauma or hardship happened. I'm not saying everybody had a good outcome, but just in case you did, just in case it bossed you up in some way, go ahead and look at that as a blessing. Oh, my bank account bottomed out and I lost my job. Oh, that's tough. I ain't gonna come to you with platitudes in that situation and be like, universe, God, whatever you believe in ain't gonna put you through no more than you can handle. Because, that's likely to get you cussed out or a door slammed in your face. Because, legitimately, that's upsetting. Because you dismissing the trauma the person is experiencing. However, be there, listen while you vent, and vent you shall. Most likely. And then on the side, I'll congratulate you for the boss you became afterwards and said, you know what? When you were dealing with that, I knew you were going to overcome it. I knew you was going to come out the other side better. And look at you. Look how beautiful you are. And then it reminds you of how many times you survived something that was challenging. That's how you operate out of joy. You bring the joy with you, even in the challenging moments. And on the other side, I'm going to celebrate, but right now, I'm going to go ahead and be in this ass ball and cry about it. And then get up, pray. You ain't got to pray, but if you want to. And then go get it for myself. Whatever that that thing is you need to get for yourself, even if it's self-love and acceptance of who you are right now. That's that dharma. A lot of people talk about karma, but I don't think enough people talk about dharma. Dharma, you've accepted karma as your blessing, as your lesson, as your penance. So you operate out of joy despite any challenges. Because the sun will shine in the morning. And either you paid something back, gave something, or learned something. And there's an acceptance and allowing and dharma. And so it's one of those things that helps me get out of a funk, dharma. or acceptance and allowing, even when there's a challenge. Like, oh, this is, oh, that totally sucked. I got a guy I really like. I mean, really like, and I haven't liked a guy like that in years, literal years. And suddenly he was just gone. Like the kids said, ghost. And it was after a while of hanging out with him. Like, oh, that sucked. I had my had my 5 minutes a morning, and not literally 5 minutes, like a day. And I give myself some time to really feel my feelings, and I get up and I gotta be gangster again. We're not playing around. I am not the chick anymore that will sit in my sadness and just go towards me for days, weeks, and months. I don't have time for it. I don't make time for it. I sit and enjoy. It's like, okay, there's something I missed. Whatever it is I missed, I need to reflect on what I missed. As much fun as I was having, what did I miss? And that's a me issue, not a them issue. So that is not the opportunity, children, sisterin and brotherin in betweens, to go and shit on that person's name. Because before that happening, or whatever happened, the dust up or whatever, wasn't they a pleasant person to you? Didn't you enjoy their company? Didn't you like the person? Well, boo-boo, listen to me. But it was done. That's the time it was done. It might come back into your reality at some point. Who knows? But that time is done. You learn what you learned. They learn what they learned. And now it's time to move on to something else. It's okay to grieve the loss and move on. You graduated. Because shit on their name only means that you're operating out of grief. And you're in grief. And you're not handling it well. I know this from experience. So maybe find a different way to handle your grief other than bad mouthing that person to other people. And make smarter choices in the future. Like, I need to make a smarter choice for myself. I did not make smart choices for myself. Or maybe you did make smart choices for yourself and you were fooled by somebody. Now, learn the psychology of that vibration and not repeat it with another person in another body. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Let's focus on you and your education and your understanding. We ain't got to hate nobody. Excuse me. I just hang there. Excuse me. Gotta get that off there. And then move forward. Press forward. One foot in front of the other. I'm sure there are more of these rules that come to my mind. And as they come to my mind, I'll let y'all know. But one I think is probably most important is to thine own self be true. Love thyself. Same thing. If you sit down in the company of someone that makes you feel uncomfortable just because you're lonely or just because they're cute or they got money or something like that and you wonder why you're unhappy, why are you wondering? To thine own self be true. If you know you're sitting down and you're putting on airs and pretending to be someone you're not, and then you're surprised when the person starts finding out who you truly are, they don't like you, to their own self be true. Love thyself. If you know somebody's treating you, mistreating you, but there's some things about them that is advantageous, whether it's their intimacy or their looks, same thing before. Do you love yourself enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna let this go and be okay with being by myself for a little while until I heal whatever caused me to vibrate towards that in the first place? To their own self be true. That means speak the truth and act out the truth in everything you do. Now, these are not moral rules. These are just rules to keep life less hectic. They work for me, honey. They really do. I'm not saying that one of the concrete rules you should write down is never double text somebody because they saw your message. They chose not to respond. It's not your It's not your job at that particular point. This is part of loving yourself. It's not your job at that particular point to go back and go, how dare you not answer me? Rawr. No, they hurt you. They don't care about you getting mad neither. But somebody who don't care about your calmness don't care about your anger. Come on. If they don't care about your calmness, they're certain the hell they ain't gonna care about your anger. All you're gonna do is push them further away. You don't bring people closer to you with anger. You push people farther away from you with anger. It depends on the type of anger, because I know my anger will blast like a meteor hit the earth. So And, I've come to the understanding by governing myself by these things. Someone who is unworthy of my love is unworthy of my anger. Why should I expel energy and anger for somebody who wasn't even worthy of my love? Someone worthy of your love loves you back. Not just what you can do for them, they love you, the person that is you. And then they treat that with honesty, love, dignity, and respect without question. Those are the people, if you do get angry, that deserve your anger. Now, I'm talking about divine rage when one's protecting oneself from someone who is attacking. That's a whole different thing. Rage and anger are two different things. But if you're going to allow somebody to bring you out of your character and get you angry, are they even worthy of your love? Because anger is a strong vibration in and of itself. But it's also a frustrating one because you might act in a way that you wouldn't ordinarily act. Are they worthy of you getting like that? Are they worthy of you cussing them out in public? Are they worthy of you in some way shaming them on social media? Because I've done it. Are they worthy of that? Did you ask yourself that question? Because half the time, I'll say not half, more than half the time, 9 times out of 10, they ain't worthy of that. And now you just embarrassed yourself and made a cringe post on social media because you can't control yourself. And you let somebody that wasn't even worthy of your love bring you out of your character. Let's not say we did. Let's not even say we did. Let's just not. I made the dumbass mistake, so you ain't got to. Just listen to me, baby. Just listen to me. But generally speaking, these are very simple and basic things. I think it would be beneficial if nothing else. Again, the most important is to that own self be true and to love yourself. Because the moment you stop being true to yourself is the moment your whole existence starts to operate out of lies, deceit. It's like getting a job. You know damn well your resume was a lie, so now you got to figure out how to do these things you say you can do on your resume, but you don't know how to do them. Now you're stressed out because you got the dream job you wanted, but you wasn't in alignment with it. That's true for friendships, relationships, everything in between. If you're not in alignment with it, you're not in alignment with it, baby. Don't force it. Don't put the square peg in the round hole. Wisdom is painful. I done told y'all before. I got a lot of wisdom in that department, so don't. I asked you to listen to my words and not repeat my actions. You hear me? Anyway, y'all love.